So I've just got back from work, and I've noticed really how chaotic things are in there. I may have discussed this before on one of my videos, but yeah, maybe there's a particular point here that I'd like to make. The thing that I notice more than anything else is just that how much, how overworked people are, and how tired people look. There's one girl that I work with, and she's looking particularly you know pasty, not very healthy at all, and just generally exhausted, and obviously she's had her own personal problems which have been as a result of that in some way, but I believe most of it's down to the job, because it's not the first time that I've seen it look like that, and in fact, over the past couple of days, the past couple of weeks even, she just seems to be looking more and more tired. There's another person that I work with, and she's also feeling the heat, so to speak, of working in the place where I work, and it seems to be a continuing state of stress for most of the employees there. We're always behind in some way or another. If we get ahead, then we're behind again, and we just can't seem to hold on to new members of staff. They come in and decide it's not what they want to do, or maybe they don't. A lot of them don't even show up for work. The next year, maybe they come in for a couple of days or a week. And I'm not saying this happens all the time, but we do have a high turnover of staff, especially new members of staff. And they do sometimes they just don't turn up, and of course, with the retail business or the particular business that I'm in, it really kind of puts us under pressure. And it's just, with regard to how hard they're actually pushing us to work and make ends meet, and really get the system working. And for me personally, I just see it as so. In a sense, there's only so much you can do with such a small budget, or so many cutbacks. There's only so much you can do with the people that you have, and of course we're spread rather thin at the moment because we don't have the correct amount of employees. We've got a small store, and that store is really kind of over. It's really it needs to be enhanced in size. Really, we need to grow into a bigger store is what we need to do. And of course they keep delaying it because of the position of the store and everything else. So there's a number of different factors involved in this, but the point I'm trying to get at really is that it's a corporate business. I explained this to someone the other day, that we're working so hard, and in a sense we get paid for it, and we get we're for the type of job we're in, we get paid decent money basically, but they make sure that they get the most out of you. In fact, they push more than the most out of you. And then of course you end up, instead of doing like one person's job, you're ended up doing like two people's jobs, and you're constantly pushing the limits. So the thing I said to the person that I was speaking to, I said, look, at the end of the day, and this was regard to me and my business and everything else. I said, at the end of the day, I've been in jobs where I've pushed myself hard. I've been in jobs where I've sacrificed myself, for the sake of doing a good job for a company. And there's only so far you can push that. And what you've got to remember is that you're a very small cog in a very, very big wheel, and that system can very easily chew you up and spit you out, and you basically have nothing to come back on. Because once in a sense, your health, with your regard to your health, once you've screwed your health, it's always possible to get better, I believe. But for most people, once they've screwed their health up, once they've had a fall or an accident, or maybe they've been working for years, if you're led on a bed because of in a hospital because of a heart attack that you've had as a result of maybe years of overwork or stress or tension that your job's caused you, essentially they're not going to be at your bedside. They're going, essentially, and eventually they're going to employ somebody else. They're going to replace you. You're a number. that is essentially what you are. You are a number in that type of job. And I said, that's precisely why I don't want to work for a big corporation anymore. I don't want to work for big corporations like that because, they put on a very big mask of, we look after you, we give you all this stuff. And, it's very, very different behind the scenes. Very, very different. It's almost like you get the speak, you get the advertisements of how well they treat you. But in a sense, it's just not followed up. It just isn't. It's all kind of, I can't really think of what to call it now, a specific thing you can call it. And so I see this going on, and, quite often as well, I see that a lot of people, are not there because they really want to do the job or enjoy the job or anything else. They're there because they need the money. They're there for the money. I mean, I've spoken to a fair few people in there, and most of them, and they're in the same position that I was in, not probably about 2 or 3 years ago, where, they really don't have a clue what the hell they want to do. They've got no idea what they want to do with their life. They've got no purpose. They've got no direction. They're just kind of following this real kind of this. They're just kind of following some sort of direction, but they, maybe they have aspirations, they have dreams, they have things that they've wanted to do, but that's long since been drummed out of them, and they're kind of just gliding along in life, really, and not really knowing what it's all about, and it's kind of sad, really. It's really, really sad, and to think that for those people, mostly they're gonna get to a stage in their life, and they're really not gonna know. They're really gonna reach a point where they look back and they think, "What the hell have I done with my life? Where's it gone to?" In a sense, they're just. I can't imagine. I mean, it's always, for me personally, I've always had this thing. That's one of my biggest fears, is to go through life just kind of, surfing along, not knowing what I want to do. And, and I just couldn't, I don't think I could deal with that. That's why I had the depression. There were many times where I just felt, I was suicidal because I just couldn't. How can you possibly live a life like that with no purpose and no? Maybe it's just me, but I just cannot think how you could possibly satisfy yourself with something like that. But I mean, then having said that as well, there's another angle to this, and most people don't believe there's another way. Most people don't see there's another way, and if you presented them with another way, they'd be totally blind to it because they don't have. It's almost like they don't have the ability to see it. So, yeah, it's weird to look at it like that. I mean, I'm not in a bad position myself at all, really. I mean, I don't feel too bad today. I mean, I do feel tired, but, it's kind of, it's just looking at the people that I work with, and it just kind of reminds me of me. It reminds me of me, not a couple of maybe 2-3 years ago, not really knowing what I wanted to do, and being exhausted all the time, and it's reflected everywhere. So that's kind of today's video. It's not so much an asking questions video. It's more of a just what I've observed, and I guess what have you observed in your everyday environments? What have you seen that really? What has it reflected to you in a sense that's kind of you see that's changed you, and how do you see those environments now? What's your perspective? So that's kind of a question I've got to ask you guys. So I'm going to end it there, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow.